Okay, we are back again with me again, sports historian, statistician, honorary secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame, Dale Brown. And Dale, let's talk National Jamaica Championships 2025. Again, the National Championships begin tomorrow. And Dale, again, the dumb question first. Are you looking forward to our National Championships?
Yes, sir, absolutely. My seat is reserved.
Yes, sir. Shelly Ann Fraser Pryce says this will be the last time that Jamaica sees her running in a national championships. You think this will put more fannies in the seats?
Yes. That fact and the fact that the women's 100 meters is going to be somewhat of an open event. There are quite a few question marks there, and Shelley's place is not guaranteed, as we know, as in prior years. So there are lots of question marks, and I think people will want to give her a rousing send-off.
Let me start then, Dale, with the men's 100. And while we are interested in our juniors, I think our focus this afternoon will be on the seniors as the Tokyo World Championships looms.
Yes.
And I think the question will be who fills second, third, and fourth, and then the other placings in the 4x1 relay. Because one has to believe that Mr. Clayton Thompson will win the 100 if he's fit.
I believe he will come ready to go, and barring any unforeseen injury, he is being prepared to be Mr. Stephen Francis's first global gold medalist as a male in the 100 meters.
Injuries have stalled the development of Julian Fort, and he's in the preliminary round tomorrow, for tomorrow. Your thoughts on Julian Fort, Dale?
Julian, as you know, got injured at the World Relays, so I don't know what type of shape he's in. But Julian's biggest problem is running that hard semifinal to make it to the final and then reproducing that run in the final. I'm not very confident that he will be able to do that. He has always had problems doing it, and but I expect him to make the finals.
Another athlete, Bourgeois in Krumi, has been slow in his development. In fact, he has not gone sub 10 since high school. Was he just a flash in the pan?
No, I think that again, that transition from the junior ranks to the senior ranks has been very, very difficult for him. And as you know, track and field is not a linear science, so we just do not know how an athlete will transition. And unfortunately, he's having lots of problems doing so.
Johan Blake, is he just loves track and field now, or does he expect to make this team?
He may expect to make it, but I would not expect him to be there. And if he is still making it at this stage, it does not augur well for what we have on our shores at this point in time. I think all things considered, he should not be able to make this team at this stage of his career.
You know, Dale, I am hoping that Jamaica qualifies for the men's 4x1. Because I believe a team of Klayton Thompson, Oblique Seville, Akeem Blake, and Brian Level can do some damage in that 4x1.
I agree with you. I think right now we're about 2 places out. So I don't know if they will arrange for something in between to get us in that top 16, those 2 places that are available. We have to be, we are at 18 right now, I think. So we need to get to be in the 15 and 16 range. And I
Yeah, but
think
I think
once they get them together, they would achieve that.
I think the J3s have 3 meets that they are looking at to qualify the relay teams that are not yet qualified. There's a meet in Barbados. I forget the date, June something. There's the London, I think, Diamond League meet and the NAAA meet. The 3 meets that the J3s are pointing at to try and qualify the teams that have not yet qualified for the relays. So I expect, hopefully, and I think what it really comes down to is who will be available for these meets, who their coaches will release for these meets. Because, the coaches of these track clubs have so much, control over their athletes and where they run and when they run.
I will agree with you with that. And one of the big concerns is that can we achieve that qualification without Kishan Thompson? Because he's one that I would not be very, very confident he would be available for relays. Just based on past happenings, we don't know if he would be available for it.
Right. Because he might not be released by his club.
Absolutely. The other runners, the other main runners, like Lavelle is running with he trains with Optimum, and Seville, of course, with racers, and will Glenn Mills now, without knowing all of this, don't have any excuses for why Seville is not available, because they all know what is at stake. And I'm tired of them saying the J3 didn't tell them this and the J3 did not tell them that. Well, you know now, so let us see what you are going to do.
The women, not necessarily the same, I guess. Shelly Ann says, again, this will be the last time she's competing. But when Shelly lost that race earlier this year, I think it's a Tia Clayton in the 100, the question was, what shape was Shelly in? Was the veteran playing a cat and mouse game, using that race to gauge where she was in preparation?
Yes, to the last part of your statement, John. I don't think it was a cat and mouse. Shelly came out there to see exactly where she was, and the only way you can find out is giving it your best. And if you think about it, since the heats at the Olympics, she had not run a race until 8 months later. So, and it's her first race of the season. So she was taking care of business, and she's mature enough, and she's an exemplary athlete on any aspect of track and field you want to speak about. She is the person. She's the go-to in terms of setting a great example for anyone, male or female, experienced or inexperienced. She sets that mark more than anybody else for Jamaicans to follow, or anybody in track and field world to follow. So she knows what she's doing. The problem is that making the relay team is not difficult. It's making the 100-meter team that's going to be difficult, because you have the Clayton twins and you have Sharika Jackson and you have Shelly Ann, and it's 3 that will represent the island in the 100 meters.
And you mentioned, but Dale, I think based on what we know of Shelly, she's going to be ready for this one if she's not injured.
She
Once
is
she's
going to
not
be
carrying
ready.
an injury, she's going to be
Right.
ready.
No question. And the hardest thing for her, John, will be that gap between the semifinals and the finals. How hard will she have to run in the
Hmm.
semifinal to get to the final?
Hmm.
That is the big question because that is what would I am concerned about with her.
An athlete that has kind of surprised me, Dale, that since high school has not developed in the way I thought she would. And at the time was looking forward to her being our next big sprinter is Ashanti Moore. Her
Mhm.
development has been slow.
Extremely slow. And I think she has passed the stage where we would say it is slow because last year her fastest time was 11.2, 11.24 to be exact. And this year she has run 11:32. I don't see her really, unless other persons drop out, she should not really factor in this too much, not in the 100 meters.
In these circumstances, is it desire? Is it maybe injury that slow their development? What are they um, not going through the necessary training regime to get really to the top? What prevents some of these athletes, Deal? Apart from injury, then?
Um, Again, it's the great unknown, John. It's the great unknown. You never know who is going to transition. No matter how well they look, how good they look as schoolgirls or schoolboys, you simply can't predict what they will do. A lot of factors come into it, where the professional training is much, much more intense. It requires a lot of discipline. It requires a lot of guidance. And depending on how willing that athlete is to learn, um, and I wouldn't say it's that they are not willing to learn. It's just that they simply can't adjust to the professional life, the life of a professional.
Hmm. And of course, a couple of our youngsters now who are in the senior ranks, Alana Reid and Serena Cole. One wonders where they might end up in this picture, in these championships.
Okay, Alana Reid to me is a very, very big concern, even more, much, much more than Ashanti Moore, because Alana Reid has our record. She's run what, 10:92, and
Mm-hmm.
she has not shown anything at all from she has come to the senior ranks. And I'm hoping to see her go. Last year, she ran, I think, 11:09. And I'm hoping that this year she can at least run 10:99 or something along those lines. But leaving Jamaica and coming to the US to train, I don't know if that was the best move for her. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she went to the camp of the then reigning world champion, Shaka Richardson, and I don't know if I would have advised her to go to that camp. If that's what you're gonna do, I think she was better off staying in Jamaica.
The last race where I saw that Tina won that 100 with Tia seeming to have some difficulty, slowed and came fifth. But we haven't heard if she's okay. Yeah, that's Tia.
No, I have not heard anything about it, and I'm concerned, and that's why I say in the women's 100, there are a couple of question marks. Whether it's for race sharpness or complete recovery from injury that we are concerned about. From with Tia, as you just mentioned, and of course Shelly, and of course Sharika. The fittest and most healthy one out of them all is Tina Clayton, as
Hmm.
far as we know.
I tell you what, though, Dale, some hearts are going to be broken in this women's 100, you know.
Um, John, I
Yeah.
agree with you. We may get some broken hearts here. Yes, because anybody who comes there less than 100%, it's going to be difficult for them to make that 100-meter team.
And you mentioned Sharika, who seemed to have come on a bit slowly this year. And I suppose because she has already qualified for the 200, so she is probably gauging herself more in her preparation. But she, to me, seeing her racing, that turn of foot that you see, I haven't seen it in her races so far. But then again, Dale, you know, she trains with MVP, and her coaches know exactly how to get her ready for the big races.
Yes, definitely. The only problem with this time, when an athlete is 100% fit and ready to go, you don't ask these questions and you don't make these comments. Is when you have a little doubt in your mind. And Sharika is coming off an injury-plagued season. And
Hmm.
so she's going to, not deliberately in the sense that they have to be mindful of how they're handling her to prevent a recurrence of injury, because when you have hamstring injuries, you just don't know when that hamstring, you have to rub out the scar tissues and do everything like that. And you simply
Hmm.
don't know when that athlete is going to be ready to turn on the afterburners. You just don't know.
Hopefully, as I said, Sharika is not has not entered the 200. Neither Shelly, as a matter of fact, because Shelly has given up the 200. But dear, I remember Usain's final year in track and field when he said he was giving up the 200. I said to some folks, the 100 is also done. So that last 100 that he lost, I kind of wasn't surprised, although he lost on the tape, because if you're not training for that 200, I think it takes away from your top end speed in the 100.
I agree with you. And yes, definitely. And I think that they have to be careful of what they do, because for example, Jackson, she's still in the prime of her sprinting life, and especially
Hmm.
now we know that you can really continue sprinting into your mid 30s.
Right,
Um,
right.
and so it's a matter of race sharpness for her, and I would have loved to see her contest the 200, if only the heats and the semifinals or something, just to get some races under your belt, because
Yes.
you cannot say you shouldn't want to say I'm waiting for September, because you don't know what is going to happen down the line.
Well, maybe she gets some 200s in before um world championships. And I'm sure she has to get some 200s in maybe Diamond League or something like that.
No, absolutely. So that's what I'll be looking forward to, for her getting out there and pushing herself and getting back, because we have to remember that Sharika was running what she went 2 years plus undefeated
Hmm.
at 200 meters.
Right.
And she, by the way, has the record for the most sub 22 clockings in the history of the sport.
Exactly.
You know, so she has some serious claims. She has the two most productive 2 year, 2 season, back-to-back seasons in the history of the sport for women 200 meters. So hopefully she will get back to that form. The last time she broke 22 seconds was in 2023, believe it or not.
And I tell you, I mentioned, if I may back up a little bit, going back to the 200 the hundreds. we didn't talk about Brianna Williams and where she is in terms. I know we talk about the Clayton twins, Deal, Alana Reed, but Brianna Williams is still out there getting herself ready, and she seemed to be rounding into good shape now.
I hope so. I really do. She is, she seemed to be, as you say, that's the best way of putting it, rounding into some kind of shape. Yes, I would agree with that.
Because she has entered both the 100 and the 200,
Um, yes,
as well as the Clayton twins.
yes, yes. And that I don't know what that is all about, but Brianna Williams, it's really interesting because last year her fastest time was 11.08, and she has a
Mm,
11 point, she has a fast clocking this year also. I don't know about her at 200 meters because from she ran the 22.5, 6 years ago. It's unbelievable that it is so long ago.
mm,
She has not come anywhere close to it. And so
yeah.
I don't know if she just entered it hoping, because the 200 meters, the qualifying time is 22:06. And we don't have anyone here that would have that qualifying time. Of course, with the exception of Sherika Jackson. We don't
Mm.
have any other runner running that fast at 200.
The men's 200 deal is really the race I am looking forward to, because I want to see what Mr. Level does in that men's 200.
Okay. Um, and he is the one bright spot there. The qualifying time, because I know, do you know that the qualifying for the World Championships, they have it set up where 50% of the athletes, they qualify through attaining the qualifying standards. And
Mhm.
then the other 50%, they get it through the ranking system. So if that be the case, we are not looking to have more than one individual contest that 200,
Mhm.
right now. If so we have to wait and see after trials who finish in the top three. We have Andrew Hudson, for example. We know that he's more than capable of getting there, and Lavelle has shown that he can get there. And if he doesn't get there during the trials, he will have other opportunities, because wind and conditions will determine how fast you run. The other day he ran the 19.7, and it doesn't count because it was wind-aided.
Yeah. uh, Oblique Civil, Akeem Blake. Interesting entries in the 200.
Just interesting. I don't expect either of them to factor greatly. Even if they make the team, they will not have the qualifying standard met it. And Seville, I'm worried about him and his maintaining fitness for the 100 meters, because he has
Mhm.
a chance to medal there, and he just does not look as sharp as he should. He has some injury concerns. So I'm a little bit surprised that he's even entered in the 200. I'm happy that he is, but I'm also surprised.
Back up to Andrew Hudson deal, because we haven't heard much of him this season. At least I
Absolutely
can't
not.
don't recall seeing him racing anywhere.
No, you're absolutely correct. We have not seen him, and that's a concern. He's a strong competitor. I know that I would expect him to at least reach the semifinals. I expect Level, based on what he has shown so far, to make it to the semifinals, and I have him down as one of the finalists. But I'm not that confident in Hudson because I've not seen or heard anything about him this season.
The 400s now. Let's jump to the 400s. And both men and women. I
Yes.
think they are still quite open in terms of a favorite.
Which one are you speaking of first?
Let's start. Let's start with the men's 400.
Okay, men's 400. Very interesting. McPherson has the fastest time. That's Bovell
Yeah,
McPherson.
yeah.
And we have three persons who have run below 45 seconds. Well, three, but one of them is not entered in the 400 meters. That's Rashawn Clark, the hurdler.
Mm-hmm.
Um, McPherson and Zandrian Barnes. And I like the way that Kennedy looks. Delano Kennedy, who went to
Delano
Edwin
Kennedy.
Allen. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
he's training up at optimum, and he has been running quite well. He's finishing strong, and I like the way he looks. Um, so those are my top three for the 400. I like how Barnes ran last year, and I know he will come in fit because the Sprintec athletes are usually quite fit. And if they have been running well, they will continue to run well at trials.
What about Antonio Watson?
He has a bye as the defending champion. He has hardly
Mm-hmm.
run and he has not shown anything to make us feel that he can even make it to the finals in the 400 this year. He has really regressed against because of injury, and he has not had done anything of significance for 2 years now.
But he should. This is probably an occasion that he can kind of gauge where he is in his training.
Yes, and I don't expect him to put out a superhuman effort because he's already qualified. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that he will be somewhat reserved. I don't expect to see much from him because we have a lot of persons who are running in the mid 45-second range. We have about
Mm-hmm.
10 of them running in the mid 45. So it's going to be very, very competitive. And I
I
don't
think it
know.
is.
Yes.
Another name I'll call for you, Demish Gay.
Demish has not broken 40s. He's running decently, but not as well as Chambers or DeAndre Watkin, those type of guys, even Rasheen McDonald, not running to that level. But Demish Gay is a competitor. And again, when you see those sprint tech athletes come out, they are ready to run, especially in these kind of events. They're going to show up.
Sean Bailey.
He's an enigma. He had an excellent season last year, and something has slowed him down. I don't know what has slowed him down, but he has run 45.5 so far this year, and I
Mm-hmm.
would expect him to come in prepared to run below 45 seconds. So he's one that I think will be in the relay pool, but he's very injury prone, extremely
Yeah.
injury prone. Yeah.
And the women's 400.
Oh, that's my favorite race now.
An,
Outside of the
an
200,
open,
this
an open
open
event.
in that Nick, our record holder, Nikisha Price,
Yeah.
she's rounding down into form quite well. Does not look the same athlete for the past 2 years when she was in college over here, Arkansas. But she looks dangerous. She's rounding down very well. But my favorite athlete of the bunch is Oakley, coming off the
Dejanay.
Dejanay Oakley, coming off the collegiate season. What will she have to offer? And she's one of my favorite athletes. And I think we have three solid persons up front in Oakley, Price and Stacey Ann Williams, who is training over here in the USA now. And she has run well. She has run 50.3. And I'm looking and hoping for the day that she will cut the 50-second barrier and run 49 point.
And she breached
Stacey
that
Ann.
50-second. Well, she said that's her next goal, to breach that 50-second barrier.
Yes, if I were training her, it's just to get Stacey Ann to relax coming home and not tie up as much.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, her arm movements is almost as if she's fighting, but she's gonna give it everything. And I think when she breaks that barrier, she'll do quite well.
100 at night
Well, she's a hurdler,
is
and I think the hurdlers are running that race to make sure that they are in the pool for the
for
mixed
the
relay.
relays.
Yes,
Yeah. You see, it might be said about Natalia Gould. I see her entered in the 400. I'm saying, why? Is it a
absolutely.
training ploy or to try to make the 400 pool, the 4x4 pool or the relay pools?
I think it's the relay pools that she's trying to make, and the last time they had used her in a relay, there was a lot of angst about it because she's an 800 runner and had not run any 400. So I think she's
Yeah.
saying, okay, I'm gonna run it. This is the time I'm gonna put down. Have a problem with me now doing this.
And I saw an interview with her a couple of weeks ago. She said she's in excellent shape.
Well, yes, she will be, but you have people like Shaquina Foot, the San Diego State athlete, and we
Yeah.
have persons like Leah Anderson, who will run quite well. The
And
girl
Cheyenne Salmon.
again, another hurdler,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that she'll be considered for the relay pool.
Same with Jenny Russell too.
Well, Jenny Russell, that's a good name to call in that she has not run all season. She has been injured, and it will be interesting to see what shape she comes in. She's just
Mm-hmm.
trying to make sure she has a spot on that team, and if it is just for the relays, so be it, because I don't know what to expect from her in the hurdles. And remember, we have, not to jump the gun, but we have some excellent 400-meter hurdlers. And if you're not
Mm-hmm.
in tip-top shape, it's going to be hard for you to beat one of them.
Right. Let's jump to sprint hurdles there. And they, of
Okay.
course, start again with our guys first, Shume. Um, I don't really see anyone beating Broadbell.
The only thing, when the hurdles are run, we keep our fingers crossed and we pray
Yeah,
because it is such a volatile event. And I
yeah, yeah.
always say they should make different rules for the hurdlers because you knock down the first two hurdles and you're out of the race. And it's just so unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's too hard and fast because that can happen to Broadbell, and it would be a disaster. It would be tragic if it should happen to him.
I
But
remember a few years ago with Daniel Williams, after
oh yeah,
winning world championship, the following year she come to try qualify for the Olympics and knock over the fell down or something, and she was
yes,
out of the Olympic Games.
absolutely. I will not forget that, and that is what I'm afraid of. In that term, you don't wish it, you don't want to speak it into existence, but it's a reality. But I
Francis
expect
Parch,
Broadwell, and
yeah,
there's a youngster from Baylor. His name is Demario Prince. He has
Prince,
been
yeah.
running well on the collegiate circuit also.
No,
And don't forget the old warrior, Hansel
I just
Carson.
about to say that he's never out of a big race.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
What about Anna France Campbell?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But you have two Campbells. You have Jerome and you have
Jerome.
LaFrance.
Yeah.
Yes. And right now, Jerome looks the more dangerous out of the two of them.
Mm.
Yes, yes. So it will be interesting. And of course, we have the enigmatic
Omar.
Omar McLeod.
Omar.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, don't know
The,
what
the,
he's
the, the
gonna come
men's
with.
110 hurdles should be, I think, should be quite interesting. You know?
Yes, and John, we have not mentioned Orlando Bennett,
Yeah.
who
Right, right,
always
right.
seemed to run well. You know, he's gonna run well. That's the thing with him, and he usually is mistake free with his races.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I would say it is going to be a very, very competitive race. Very competitive.
And I think it will be interesting to see where De Jour Russell is.
Ah, well, yes, it will be interesting to see where he is. But I don't expect him to make it to the finals. And I would wish I liked him as a schoolboy, but he's another one who just never made that transition.
Right. On the ladies' side, I guess the top three, Akira, Danielle, and Megan Topper.
That would seem to be the top three, yes. And I'm very saddened that she got injured. I don't know the extent of her injury. And that is the Habiba Harris, who used to
Harris.
go to States. She was
Mm,
running extremely well. She's at University of Florida now. And she
right.
was actually perhaps the favorite for the NCAA title. And
Hmm.
she got an injury and wasn't able to contest. So I don't know what level of fitness she would have, where she has a chance to upset one of the top three that you just mentioned. If they slip up, she'll be right there to take the spot.
Amoy Brown, what are your thoughts on Amoy?
Nothing so far this year, and should have to run totally out of her skin get to get a spot on that team, I
And
believe.
Kerry Cahill, still too young.
Oh, Karika Hill, another one who has just simply not made that transition. And very, very young, of course, but don't like what I see from her. You know, last year she was only able to run 12.8. That was her
Hmm.
12.85 was her fastest time for the year. And I would have expected her to be a little bit faster, but that's not the case with her.
Hmm. The 800s, the men's 800s, Nebraska Anderson seem to be the front runner there.
Oh, absolutely. And he has the qualifying standard, so he'll be coming there to have some fun, I believe. What I would like to see is if Rivaldo Marshall or Therese
Hmm.
Taylor, I don't expect Kimar Farkison to get it, but especially Marshall and Taylor, I'm hoping that those two can get into the 144 range. It's going to be very difficult for them.
But we need to be running sub 144 we did
We need to be running below 144.7
to be world
to be in
championship
the
competitive.
yes, yes.
You
To
know?
qualify, that's just to qualify. From the automatic qualification.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to be in the next 50 percentile according to
Mm,
time. And you need to
right.
be below 145 to assure yourself of a spot there. 800 is
Right.
very competitive.
Hmm. And on the women's side, of course, I don't see anybody running in front of Natalia Gould.
No,
She
the
has
last
ruled.
time,
She has ruled the Jamaica 800 no, for quite a
well,
while.
yes, yes, she has ruled it, but she lost a couple of years ago, if you remember.
Hmm.
Just for
Hmm.
memory, she lost to Christian Gordon in the rain one year, a
Yeah,
couple of years
yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
But by and large, yes, she rules everything. There's no one there. Uh, we have, I think, I'm looking out for this young lady who is in Atlanta. She trains with the Atlanta Track Club. Her name is Gabrielle Wilkinson. And
Wilkinson.
yes, I'm hoping against hope that Natoya will work with her to get her into the 159 range and qualify automatically. So don't forget the name, Gabrielle Wilkinson. I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping she runs well.
It. I'm going to call an athlete to your deal that she just disappeared after winning a bronze. I think it was a bronze medal. Ristelana Tracy.
Yes, Ristanana, the hurdler,
Yeah,
outstanding athlete from Edwin Island, and she did well to win a as you said, a bronze in the 400 hurdles. But
right.
I don't know her personal anything, so I'm very careful of what I say. But she and Kimar Bailey Cole didn't really push for the track and field. Bailey Cole got injuries and so on and so forth. But I think Ristanana, the track and field did not appeal to her like that. I don't believe. And she had some injuries too. I remember she
Mm-hmm.
had a broken wrist or something with her hand broken. And she's a fighter, magnificent athlete, but she was more content with other things in life. And those things
Mm.
happen too. Yes. Wonderful
But
individual.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, there was a time I was hoping I would see gold glittered all over her at one point, because I
Yes,
thought she was that good of an athlete. The
absolutely.
the 400s, the men's 400, of course, Roshan Clark. I guess. In fact, I think he will get good competition from us. Asini Wilson and Malik James King. Last year Malik James King, like he came out of the blue.
And he has been running well at 400 meters also. Both of them actually, they have been running well, you know. So, but Clark, it's his race to lose. It's his
Mm-hmm,
race to lose, and I think he's coming there to win. He had a little injury concern earlier in the year,
mm-hmm.
but I think it was at one of the Grand Slam meets he pulled up.
And the first
But
one in Jamaica.
yes, but he
Mm-hmm.
has been back since and has run well. He's run 48-20 so far. So I expect him to win the race. I would be surprised if he doesn't. But the top
Antonio
three,
Forbes. Mm,
yeah, the top three are the ones that you just mentioned.
yeah. Antonio Forbes. Still at it.
N- Yeah, I don't know much about him for this year. I don't expect him to factor, no. You
And
have to
the,
be below 49 and running consistent in the 48 to have
yeah,
any say in the matter.
chance, have a chance, yeah.
Yeah.
The women's 400 hurdles.
Oh, that
Um,
was one of the races. Yes.
a marquee race.
No,
um,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Rochelle Clayton, Cheyenne Salmon, Genevieve Russell, Andrenette Knight. Eh?
Um, absolutely. And unless one of those three falter, it's going to be very difficult for Genevieve, although she's my favorite out of them all. She has not run. She doesn't have that race sharpness with her. And I
Mm-hmm.
know she's going to come and give it everything that she has. But this is another race that somebody's heart is going to be broken. You know, you're looking at Knight, Clayton, Salmon, Russell, and it's going to be very, very difficult. Russell is the one that is least active because of injury. So I don't know what shape she will be in when she comes back, because hurdling is not, it's perhaps the most difficult running event in terms of energy efficiency and whatnot. It's very, very difficult. That
The
400
the
hurdles.
400 hurdles.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm. I guess we have covered basically the track and field highlights deal. But let's look at and the women's triple jump. You know, Shanika Ricketts basically rules that, and I don't see Akilah Smith even on Shanika's worst day beating beating Shanika.
No, and Shanika, of course, is one of the top two jumpers in the world now. You know, definitely one of the medal favorites going in for world championships, and she already has the qualifying time. So, regardless of where she finishes, she's guaranteed to make the team because she has the qualifying time, which she did, not time,
The distance.
distance,
Yeah.
already this season. And as long as she finishes, even if she doesn't finish in the top three, they're gonna name her to the team because she's the only one with that, with the qualifying mark.
And I'm disappointed, though, Dale, that she has not breached the 15-meter mark.
I can see with that, but again, she's the best jumper we have ever had, and I would sacrifice that 15-meter mark for her winning the gold medal.
For the gold
But
medal.
yeah, she's consistent. She's an excellent
Yeah.
individual, and she carries the flag very well for Jamaica. Love her, and
She,
she'll win the event. But she's
yeah.
not under any pressure at all.
Well, right. Now, the men's triple jump,
Um,
um, I guess I don't have I don't have Jaden Hibbert will be there, so I guess I'll have to hang my hat with Jordan Scott.
no question. No question. Again, he has the qualifying mark already, and he will come in as one of the top five jumpers in the world. And I expect him to jump and show the progress that he has made.
Mm-hmm.
I fully expect that from him. Yes.
And really, the competition there is not really um, anything to speak of because
No,
other than him and Jaden Hibbert, and no one else jumping over 17 meters.
that is correct. Everybody else is in the 16 people like Apollos, Edwards, and Edwards is not even entered. And
Mm-hmm.
he's one of them that did 16, the mid 16 meters, 16 plus
Mm-hmm.
meters. So,
Right.
you know, they're not there. Nothing is there. And here again, we see a lack of participation in the field events, especially triple jump. And that should not
Yeah.
be.
The long jump, the men's long jump.
We have three solid, well, let me not say three, but we have two solid, we have three
Jumpers.
guys who are in the top 10 in the world. Three of our jumpers in the top 10. That is and I said three
Tajay,
of our with a big question mark, including Pinnock. So you take Pinnock
Tajay,
out of it. We have
yeah,
Tajay Gale and we have
Kerry McLeod,
Kerry McLeod. So
Wayne
when you look at
Pinnock.
it, right. So let's say we lose Pinnock, we still have two persons in the top six in the world.
Yeah.
We going into world championships so far at this point in the season. So we are well stuck there with the men's long jump. Of course, Pinnock having won a silver medal, we have to be concerned of losing his services, so to speak. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Sean D has not jumped bad, but not been able to make that next level.
Right. And that's a good name that you have called because Sean Dino, he's an 8-meter jumper. And
Mm-hmm.
I would expect him if he comes third or whatever, even if he doesn't make the qualifying standard, which I would expect him to make, it's a 8.25. So in and around there, he will definitely qualify from being in the top, the next top top 28 jumpers from the ones who didn't achieve the qualifying standard. Did I say 28? I mean 24
Let
jumpers.
me,
I would expect
yeah,
him to be there.
let me ask you this, no deal. It seems as if going back to the days of Ralph Boston and those guys of the past, jumpers, um, seems as if our long jumpers today have difficulty jumping past 27 feet. And I often wonder why they have not been jumping maybe close or past 28 feet regularly.
That's an interesting observation. I think back in the day we had more sprinter long jumpers or long jumpers sprinters, and I don't see any of these guys really sprinting. So I don't know if that explosive speed, even though it's not a speed event, but you think back on Carl Lewis, you still
Yeah.
need that speed and that power in the legs to propel you. So I don't know if maybe that has anything to do with it.
Mm.
You know, because none of them, you don't see them even sprinting on a relay team or just in a development meet, just running the 100 meters. You don't really see them doing it. They
Right,
do
right.
speed work in training, I know, but I would just love to see if you remember when Tajay Gale just came out and hit the world scene,
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Francis announced that he would be putting him in the 100 meters and
100,
something,
yeah.
but it never panned out.
But Tajay Gale seemed to jump further the longer he jumps. And I find that interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
The further the
definitely.
meat goes, into
Yes,
his, yeah,
like he needs to warm up.
yeah.
I agree with you
Um,
where that is concerned.
the women shot put. I guess Daniel Thomas' dad owns that basically. I don't know if Ladrika Cameron can beat her, but Daniel Thomas' dad seemed to own that.
She would have to have a very, very off day for Cameron
Very,
to
very
beat her.
off.
Yes, yes, very off.
Yeah, yeah. And even well, as we mentioned before in the men's discuss, Roger Stone is out, but Ralford Mullins has been throwing quite well this year.
Yes, he won the NCAAs and
Yeah.
he has been doing well, as you mentioned, and he has the qualifying mark. So he's in good situation, very, very good. But again, it's a very competitive event globally. Frederick Dakers, he's another one, he has not been of the usual high standard, but he should make the team also.
But he has had he had the knee, I think the knee injury and then a wrist injury that he
Yes,
had.
yeah, the
So
operation, yes.
one wonders if he is really, because the wrist, he needs that hand, in order to help to propel that discus. And he
Oh,
wondered if he's
certainly.
totally fit.
Yes, certainly. Absolutely.
And I guess, the shot put, with the men shot put, not much I guess we can say here for Ginger Campbell is not
Yes,
throwing
we
for
lost,
Jamaica.
right. And he's in the top 5 in the world right now. And
Hmm.
we don't have anyone else. We have Brandon Lloyd who has thrown over 20 meters. But outside of that, we don't have anyone. Um, Mullins has thrown almost 20 meters. But and we have who else? Trevor Gonzel. But these are all, they are well below that standard. They are in the 19s, not well below, but they are in the 19s.
But they're not entered. in
And they
this.
are not and they are not entered exactly. I
Mhm,
apologize. They are not
mhm,
entered, so it's
mhm,
a non-event, so to speak. I'm not disrespectful to anyone who is entered, but
mhm.
it's there's nothing there.
It's the truth.
Yeah, it's nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
Campbell was the one person, and the rest of them that would give him any competition or give us any hope that someone else would qualify. They are not entered.
Yeah, I remember. Okay, I do have a note here, Dale, that the the relay teams that have not qualified yet.
Yes,
No. I'm sorry, not that. The junior and senior track and of course the senior track and field championships. The team for the world championships in Tokyo will be selected. The juniors now, there is a knockout under 18 and under 23 squad that is to be selected.
yes,
And there is also um, a junior squad under 19 for the Pan American Games to be selected. And
yes.
that Pan Am Games is in Colombia.
And so we have to look forward to our juniors like a Sabrina Dockery,
Hmm.
Gary Card,
Hmm.
and my
But
favorite junior.
Carter's entered in the male 100, in senior 100.
Yes, yes. And it will be interesting to see what he actually comes out and do because I think he has an outside shot to make, depending on his condition, to make the senior team.
Mm.
Yeah, I
For the
really do.
for the relays or the 100.
For the relays.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if his coach will, say, hey, listen, let it stay until next year or not.
Mm.
Yeah. But Card and then Douglas, Shania Douglas.
Sanaya Douglas, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's another
we have
junior.
some juniors there to really look out for in the world in this national championships coming
Yes.
off, of course, champs and Carifta games
Yes.
and pen relays, I guess. And but the national championships. But I understand that the entries for this national championships is like 720, I think. They say have entered across the board, which is up from 600 and something from last year, and that
Yes.
has kind of pleased the J3s that they have gotten that kind of interest or entry into the championships.
And I would agree with them, except when I look at certain events, like the field events, I don't see that type of participation there.
Yeah.
Because yes, you're gonna have all these rounds of 100 meters and whatnot, but when you go to the field events, you're not going to have that.
And by the way, they say there are no entries for the heptathlon.
Right?
The decathlon will be held, also the octathlon for under 18 at these championships.
Right.
Um, I guess that's where about it, Dale. I don't know if there's anything we have overlooked that you might want to mention.
No, no, nothing overlooked.
So before we close, then, Dale, um, I just want to let our listeners, our viewers know that the West Indies Australia Test match bowled off at Kensington Oval earlier. West Indies bowled out Australia for 180, but at Storms, West Indies was what, like 57 for 4?
Yes.
I hope we can
Yeah.
make that 180
It
at
will be an
least.
interesting second inning.
But fast bowlers seem to have dominated at Kensington Oval today.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yes, thank God we didn't bat first.
Okay. And that's where we put a wrap on this afternoon's John Sports Corner here on the Sosa Bone Media Network. And again, folks, I have to say thank you to Mr. Dale Brown for joining us and talking about, of course, the how should I call this? Let me just say is the acquiring of Jamaican athletes by Turkey, and of course going over some of the possibilities in the our national championships that begin tomorrow at our national stadium. Again, thanks again, Dale, for taking the time to talk some track and field with us here on John Sports Corner.
Thank you for having me, John, and look forward to perhaps after the championships to do a review on
A
it.
review. Yeah, yes. And see what team is selected to go to the to the World Championships.
Absolutely.